Okay, now we've pre-screened the sellers. Now, before you set up an appointment, here's what you need to do. You've spoken to the seller, they're properly motivated, they're agreeable, at least over the phone, to selling the house for what they owe on it. Before making an appointment and going out, you need to speak to the seller. Hey, Mr. Seller, are you the only person on title with the property? Are you married? In some cases, it doesn't matter if you're married, if you're on title, if you're married. If you're married, both parties have to sign. If they say, well, no, I have a wife and yeah, she needs to be there. So whatever day you schedule the appointment, both people need to be there because you don't want to explain all the details to one person and trust that they can intelligently pass that on to their spouse. You need to be there to explain the program in full and to be able to answer any questions in full. The second thing that you need to get an affirmation on, a confirmation on rather, is if I come out to the house, Mr. Seller, on the role play again, are you, and you like the terms, you like me, and you feel it's something you want to move forward with, are you ready to get a small portion of the paperwork out of the way to get the ball rolling? Now, to kind of go over exactly what paperwork you're going to need, you will need a purchase and sale agreement, which is, it can be a standard real estate purchase and sale agreement, and an authorization to release. Typically with any real estate deal, typically a purchase and sale agreement is a good starting off point. You can get the title work done and start marketing, but since you're buying it subject to, you need to know whether or not they gave you accurate information as far as what they owe on the house. You need to know if they're behind on payments. You need to have that information because it's going to affect how you can sell it, if you can sell it. Because if they are too far behind on their mortgage payment, all that's going to come out of your down payment to your new buyer. And if it's 6 or 7 months behind, that's all your profit. It's going to be eaten up. So you may want to pass on that deal if the seller's not able to make up those back payments. So you need to bring a purchase and sale agreement, a standard real estate purchase and sale agreement, and an authorization to release information, which you're going to fax over to the lender after you get it signed so that you can check to see what the loan balance is, what the monthly payment is, just to verify the information, just to make sure they were being honest and accurate with the information they were giving you about the mortgage. So the questions you want to ask, again, before setting up an appointment and actually meeting them, are you agreeable to getting a portion of the paperwork out of the way? If you like me and you like the terms, and are all the decision makers going to be there? Only when you get a confirmation on both those things would you want to go ahead and set up a time for an appointment. Now, again, the documents you're going to bring with you are going to be the purchase and sale agreement and the authorization to release. Now, once you're there, you're not under any pressure because you do not have to buy the house. They may or may not need to sell, but you absolutely do not have to buy it. So never get yourself in a situation where you're pressured to buy or to make promises that you can't keep. You have to do these things on your terms, your way, or you just need to pass. Because the worst thing you can do is make a promise that you can't keep, because it is going to come back and haunt you later. And you don't want to be nervous or feel like pressured in any way, because it's going to come across in the way that you pass on the information. They're going to read it, and it may deter them from doing business with you. So when you're actually out there meeting the seller, dress in a business casual type attire. You can meet them at the house, or you can meet them away from the house. Typically, they're going to want you to see the house, and they're not going to be comfortable with you trying to make a deal without even looking at the house. So typically, you want to look at the house. Just take a note of any areas of disrepair or deferred maintenance, anything like if you see where it needs paint or carpet and stains, just kind of notate that if there is anything. Hopefully, ideally, it's in moving condition. So, that's even better, because when you market it to sell and people would come out and look at it, if it's in moving condition, people can kind of visualize actually living in the house as opposed to a house that needs a little or a lot of work. So, You want to meet at the house. You want to go over the details with them. Say, hey, what, again, as I explained over the phone, this is the way it works. I buy and sell houses for a living. Just based upon the numbers, using the example again of a house with a appraised value of 100,000 and they owe 90,000 on it. Say, just based on the numbers, I can't pay cash for this house. However, I can buy it. The loan will stay in your name for a little while until it gets paid off at some point in the future by one of my buyers. We walk them through the process of getting their credit to the point where they can qualify for a loan. However, I cannot tell you exactly when that's going to be. It could be 6 months, it could be a year, it could be 2 years. Bearing that in mind, is that something that's going to keep you up at night? And I've never really had anybody make an issue of it. At least nobody that was motivated. I've had one person make an issue of it, but they weren't properly motivated. It was somebody who I kind of skirted the system. I kind of took shortcuts, which I shouldn't have, and it was a wasted trip. So instead of making wasted trips to people's houses that you can't buy, ask the initial questions before you even go out when you set up the appointment. Now, so basically when you arrive at the house, you're just basically just restating what you stated over the phone, and they're just seeing you in person. So bring your purchase and sale agreement, bring your authorization and release, and I'll include those with this particular lesson so that you have a copy of them that you can use in all 50 states, so you don't have to worry about some kind of state, proprietary type documents. You can use these in all 50 states, and you just basically have them sign it. And I'll include in another lesson exactly how to fill out the purchase and sale agreement and exactly how to fill out the authorization to release. But say, for instance, you run into sellers who are not comfortable with signing right away, even though they initially told you over the phone that they would be willing to get the initial paperwork out of the way, if you agreed on terms and price and you liked each other. Some people, they say that just for the purposes of getting you out there, but they really didn't mean it. So I understand. I've been there. Here's what you do. They say, you say, okay, well, here's my number. What I'd like to do is follow up with you. If you decide that you want to move forward, give me a call. Even if they don't give you a call, you definitely want to give them a call either a week or 2 weeks later. If they are motivated and you've already pre-screened them, obviously, or you wouldn't be there, you need to keep them in your follow-up list. Somebody to follow up with weekly, if not bi-weekly, because at some point they're going to need to move. They're going to need to make a move. So follow up with them if they don't call you. Typically in that situation, I get a call back within 2 weeks. And that's with me calling, checking up, following up as well. But say you get another objection stating, well, I like what you're saying and it sounds good, but I just want my attorney to look things over. I had a seller do that to me after I started filling out the purchase and sale agreement and leaving her spot to sign. So what I do is this. I don't leave a filled out purchase and sale agreement with a seller. I give them a blank one to show their attorney if they need it. I also give them a blank authorization or release. Now you can write the terms up on a yellow sheet of paper or another sheet of paper separately of what you want to do, but do not put them on the document. Do not put them on the purchase and sale agreement without it being signed. Because basically what you're doing is you're just giving them an opportunity to shop the deal around. And typically the way I respond to that is, it's our company policy not to leave unsigned documents with anyone. So here's a copy of blank ones that you feel free to show your attorney. And here's my number, and give me a call back and let me know what you think. And again, obviously they're motivated or you wouldn't be there. You want to follow up with them every week or every 2 weeks. So those are the only two objections you're really going to run into for the most part on subject to deals. Either, they want to think it over, which if they ask for documents, give them the blank ones, or they want their attorney to look over the documents. Again, you're going to leave them blank documents, not filled in documents, and your number. Now, assuming that you've have the purchase and sale agreement and the authorization to release information signed, both of them signed. You want to fax over the purchase and sale agreement to get an immediate title search done, just to make sure that they are the owners of record. And you want to fax over the authorization to release information to the lender. Now, while you're there, you want to ask them if they have any mortgage information or any documents regarding the house with them. And if they're properly motivated, you're not going to get any resistance. If they're not motivated or not motivated enough, you may get some resistance from that. But we're assuming that we have the documents already signed. Once they're already signed, you shouldn't have any problem getting any additional paperwork from the seller. So if you have the mortgage, like a mortgage statement, what you can do is get the fax number. You can call them up and say, you have an authorization release information. Where do I fax it to? And they'll give you the number, and you just fax it to that number. Just include your name on the authorization release to release information to you. You use a cover sheet, fax it over to them, and typically within about 48 hours, you should show up in their system where you're able to call into the mortgage company and gather information regarding the balance, ordering a payoff, or getting the monthly amount, and find out if they're behind or not. Again, in regards to the purchase and sale agreement, you want to fax that over to your attorney or title company if you're using one. But I explained earlier that my preference is you use a real estate attorney, and have them check title. And typically that shouldn't take more than 48 hours. Occasionally it does. I've had them take up as long as a week. But you want to make sure that they're the person on record. I've had houses where, even on the tax rolls, they were showing as the owner. However, on title with the state or with the county, they weren't on record as the title's owner. So you definitely need to check that. But even if they're not, even if you haven't gotten to that point, once you walk out of the door with those signed docs, I want you to immediately start marketing the house for sale. Not saying you're going to take a deposit right away, but you want to market it right away. So you take pictures of the house inside and out. You go on Craigslist, you start marketing that. I'm going to cover that on the lesson after I go over detail how to complete the purchase and sale agreement in full and how to complete the authorization to release information form in full.